Hello, good people of the internet, and welcome to the Famiriety Hour, your bi-weekly nerdy podcast for games, reviews, and basically anything else under the video game sun. We are coming to you live Wednesday, May 27th. I am your host, Ryan Tierney, and with me I've got my ride or die review buddy, Mr. Curly. How you doing,
I'm
buddy?
here. I am here. What say the
Here,
rest of
here.
you Swedish cowards?
As Curly so eloquently pointed out, we are down two members of our review squad. This time they're not afraid of cartoon mice or angered by them as Mr. Enrico was. Unfortunately, Dennis could not finish the game in time to do the review, and Mr. Enrico is otherwise occupied. But we are here nonetheless. We are here tonight reviewing Saros, the new game from Housemarque and Sony Interactive. Curly,
Can you imagine
your,
not finishing this game before reviewing it? That's crazy. Who would do such a thing?
that's crazy.
Hey, everybody.
It's a review so far.
Yeah, so I didn't beat the game yet. I'm like maybe halfway, maybe-ish. I don't know. I'm like 8 or so hours in, and I think I'm in. I don't know how the acts break up, but like somewhere around that halfway point, I think. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about this game.
Hell yeah. Here we go. Well, not quite. If you're new to the channel, you can catch us live Wednesdays from 10 to 10:30 at twitch.tv/Curly Studios. For the moment, we will eventually be going live, but I will announce that at a later date on a different Twitch platform or Twitch channel. If you're too busy to catch us live and you're sleeping like a normal human being is right now, you can catch us at youtube.com/@Famicorp. Because YouTube does @ symbols now, which is weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
And if you still can't, catch the vibe, you can catch us on. Shut up about the sun. If you can't get us on YouTube, you can get us on Spotify, Amazon, and Google Podcasts. So you can have us on the go and in your ears whenever you need. Tonight, as I said before, we are here to review Saros, but before we get into the main topic of the night, we're talking about the sun. I love talking about the sun.
Talking about that damn sun. Got to look it straight in the eyes.
Let's get to the topic of tonight's podcast. Good people of the internet, the sun is forever. We are here reviewing Housemarque's latest game, Saros. Released. Hold on, I got the wiki. I'm going to start giving up some information on the games. Released on April 30th, 2026. We are just under a month from the release of this game. Developed by Housemarque and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. We've played it. Curly has played about how many hours you got in it, do you think?
Probably like anywhere from 8 to 10-ish.
8 to 10. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I landed. So I have beaten the game for the first ending, or like the overall. Like I rolled credits, but there's stuff to do after the credits. So, but I have not done that yet, or I haven't completed that yet. So, Curly, I'm going to start with you since you're a review in progress. What are your impressions of Saros? Also, we'll be doing this pretty much spoiler free, like no story details. We'll dive into like gameplay stuff, but nothing story related.
I would say nothing narrative, but we kind of have to spoil some of the gameplay stuff. But like, it's such a gameplay heavy game that like I don't feel like it's necessarily a spoiler, but I do think it's important talk about it. Regardless, Saros, I have a lot of highs on this game, and I have a lot of like questionable, like I don't know if I like this more or less than Returnal in some aspects. Like I wish I could just outright say like, man, Saros is a humongous level up from Returnal. It's just like it is that. It's so weird that it is that, and yet there's little snippets, little little things that like make me be like, I kind of wish it was, dialed back to a little more like Returnal. Like we had just discussed, like the roguelites. Like this game is kind of confusing, to me at least. I guess I don't know. We'll get into it a little more on why it's confusing, but it doesn't feel very roguelite to me. I don't know. Coming off of a game we just reviewed, Mouse PI for Hire, it's so funny because like this game almost has the same gameplay loop where it is just like boom, room to room, combat, killing shit. Except this game is like 12 times more fun. And way more intense. Like, but this game's almost like I hate to compare it to it, but it feels very Doom like. Like it is very fast paced, action oriented, crazy, heavy music going on, crazy particles, evil demon aliens and shit. Like it feels very Doom like. I don't really feel that roguelite about it. Like I know it does have those elements, but like because of the way that the skill tree is and the way that the level progression works, it doesn't really scratch that itch, if that makes sense. So that's like kind of where I'm at with it. All that to say, like the gameplay is fucking insanely good. Like I mean the gameplay loop here, if I had to like pick my favorite like action genre, it would probably be more like a Souls game, but like this is right under that. Like I love this gameplay loop and the gunplay. Like I'm not into shooters, but like whenever you put it in third person and engage the player this much, like this is one of my favorite like just combats in any video. I love the combat. And Returnal for that matter, but like I do think moment to moment Saros is more fun to play. Like I think everything is so tight. I love the addition of the shield. I love the addition of the parry, and altogether, I think the characters in the world are a little more interesting than it was in Returnal. Maybe interesting is the wrong word, but like I guess it's more cohesive. Returnal was very like mystery. Like I don't know what's going on, and Saros was. I didn't know what was going on for a while, but now that I'm getting a little further into the game, I am getting more engaged in the story. Love the weapon variety. I do like the level up system. I do kind of wish that it was a little more heavy on the roguelike elements, and we'll talk more about that as we get down the line and all. But if I was to score it right now, I would give it a solid 8.5. I could easily see this bumping up to a 9 if it like continues down the path that I think. The game started kicking my ass the past few hours, like in a good way, like where I was kind of just cruising and being like, all right, I really like this game, but like it's not as hard as Returnal. And then all of a sudden, like, bam, I hit a wall. I was like, oh shit, okay, this game's got some fucking power behind it. Yeah, I love it.
Where did you land on Returnal? I know that was another game you played on stream a little bit.
Yeah, I never beat it either. I made it to like maybe the third or fourth biome. I think there's 5 biomes in that game or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't quite stick it out just because it was a game that I was streaming, and then that schedule fell off, and then eventually I was like, I'll come back to it, and then years passed by and I didn't, and then Saros came out, and I'm like, man, after I beat this game, I'm going back to Returnal because like, dude, I am jonesing for this kind of game. Like I do absolutely love the gameplay loop of it.
You see you're going back to Returnal after this.
Yeah. Maybe not like the very
Right
next
away.
game, but like just because I want to jump onto like Mina and 007. But Returnal, I'm probably gonna play it a little more as like secondary, since they added like saves to the game, which is another reason why I kind of dropped it. Where it's like, man, I can't play a game for a solid 3.5 hours. Like that's just
fair.
not the way that I game. That's another improvement. This one, like I really like that they improved on like the save system where it's basically like, hey, if you're not in a boss, you can resume back, no problem, no big deal. Pick up exactly where you left off. Wish it had quick resume on that PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Are you at a well before I jump in? Are you at a point where you want to give a score, or do you think you
I
want to
did.
hold off on that?
Yeah, no, I said I would give it an 8.5 if I was scoring it right here and now, but I could see the trajectory bump into a 9 if the game keeps going the way that it is now. Um, I I don't see myself getting bored at all anytime soon with it. Like I'm like I said, about 8 to 10 hours. I will gladly play this for another 10 hours. Whereas like Mouse PI, no offense, I was like I dropped it and I was like, I'm not coming back to this one. No, I'm gonna see Saros through for sure. And like
Nice.
I'm not ready for it to end at all. Like I would I would just keep playing this game for as long as it goes because yeah, I mean it does have like an interesting progression system with the skill tree, but everything is like I don't know, I have mixed feelings about that. But like the level to level, all the bosses, the gameplay, moment to
Nice, nice. All right, I'm happy to hear you're so high on it because I know we didn't really talk about too much about it throughout the course of like our playtime. Um, but I know you were you were like you were having some misgivings, I guess, when we were talking about it throughout the course of the week. So I was wondering
mm-hmm.
like how you were coming down on it. I'll be honest. I think if this isn't if this isn't my front runner for game of the year at this point, I think it's just right there neck and neck with RE9.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Housemarque wise, like Returnal was the first game that I jumped into. I got that day one when it came out. 2020, was it 6 years ago that we got Returnal? It was launch here for PS5, I think. It's been so long. But it may have been 2021. It may have been the follow-up year. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat.
I want to say it was launch year, but I could be wrong. Yeah.
I fell in love with Returnal right off the jump. The game looked incredible to me. It looked like a horror version of Metroid when I saw the trailers for it, but with like I honestly, other than Dead Cells, I don't really have much history with roguelites or roguelikes. And the idea of like restarting games on death didn't really appeal to me until I got my hands on Returnal, and now I'm just like I kind of fiend for it a little bit. This game is unbelievable in almost every aspect. I do have some misgivings, and I'll touch on those in a little bit. But like the moment to moment combat is just it's top shelf. Like we were talking about, like you mentioned FromSoft, and I feel like if Housemarque stays on its course with the way they're iterating on from Returnal to Saros, we could be talking about Housemarque the way we talk about FromSoft in like a decade's time. Just if they keep pumping out games like this to this pedigree, they are easily in the upper echelon of Sony Studios at this point for me. If they weren't already just off of Returnal, but like this game. Whew, I'm trying not to curse. That's why I can't.
Golly, what a game!
Golly gee willikers. This man. You touched on like the progression and the skill tree a little bit. I think that's where and I've heard this a good bit, but this is where the game kind of falters just a tad bit. Like the skill tree is just so unbelievably massive, and it feels like you could condense this down a little bit. So like for context, for anybody that hasn't played this game, you have a traditional skill tree, but it's just there's so many like tiny little nodes, and you have 3 different modifiers. You've got resilience, you've got drive, and you've got command, and they're color coded, and they scale your weapons. So you're picking up weapons that scale with these 3 attributes, and you have nodes on your skill tree that improve your overall like proficiency with that particular attribute by 1 point early on, and then like you could expend what's called Lucenite to purchase those. And there's nodes all over this skill tree, and I feel like they could have probably just condensed this down a little bit so that you're feeling the boost a little more when you're so like actually upgrading, and then like just make you earn it a little more, because like I feel like every run you're coming off of, you're pumping through the skill tree. And I think maybe even my biggest critique for the game is that it's kind of easy. And maybe that's just the way I played it, because like from the jump, the game kind of presents itself like a traditional roguelike, or well, not, it presents itself like not like a traditional roguelike where you get checkpoints essentially. Like so you get through one biome, you beat the boss, and then you're transported back to the hub world. And then you have a checkpoint to go to the next biome, which feels like Sony had their hands all over this game. They were like, "Hey, Returnal was great, but let's make this a little more accessible." And I don't know if that's like necessarily to its detriment. I feel like that's going to pull in a wider audience for sure, but it's going to have some misgivings from like its hardcore fan base, the people that like roguelikes and how punishing and challenging they can be. You certainly have the option to play it like a more traditional roguelike. Like you don't have to use the checkpoints. You can start from biome 1 and work your way all the way to end game.
So real quick, I'll jump in there because you mentioned that today when we were having a discussion about it. I'm like, man, the game started kicking my ass out of nowhere, and like I it's funny to hear you say that it was so easy because I'm just like, man, I'm getting my like shins kicked off, like like dude. You mentioned like you were going from the ground and working your way up, and I'm like, it's kind of at odds with that because like, yeah, it makes it more accessible that you don't have to just replay everything, but that gives you way less time to actually like level up and get a run going. Because like you'll enter the checkpoint, right? And then boom, you're off to the level. But like you immediately activate what in this game has like an eclipse system, which is basically like, hey, all the enemies are way more like rewarding, but they're also everything's harder. And like it'll throw
It's like a blood
bosses
moon
at you.
almost. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like you checkpoint to that area, the eclipse is happening. You haven't really picked up much of anything. And on top of that, anything you pick up now with the eclipse, it has a negative impact. So it's just like it's hard to really like grow from that point. So if you haven't like buffed up your skill tree a ton, like it actually makes it harder. Like I feel like the game is probably easier if you do from level 1 and work your way up. Which I hadn't played like that, and I would feel so stupid that I didn't because part of my problem is like, oh, I wish it was more roguelite. You literally have the choice in the game, and it never occurred to me that like, oh, just don't use the checkpoint. Like it just didn't dawn on me.
And I think that's where the balance kind of like falters a little bit because the game is clearly like created so that you use these checkpoint or the difficulty is baked in of you using these checkpoint systems and building your character up section by section. Whereas if you go back and you go from Shattered Rise, which is the opening biome of the game, and you work your way up through each biome, you're so overpowered by the time you get to in-game stuff. Like I got where you said you were like in the third or fourth biome. By the time I got there, my character was so like just overpowered that I think I one-shot every boss from there on out. Like, and it felt great. Like the obviously the combat is still unbelievably engaging, and it feels so good. Like one of my favorite things in games is going back through areas and feeling like a badass. Excuse me.
Yeah, I do love that.
And you get to do that in spades in this game. And like going back to Shattered Rise after you make it to the next big biome, like it feels good going back there. Like I'm clearly already overpowered for this in this area. I can still build. I kind of wish your rewards were diminished a little bit after you progress to new biomes. Maybe that would have added a little bit more to the difficulty aspects of it. I think again compressing that skill tree would be definitely beneficial in some aspects, or making them like cost more Lucenite because it's fairly cheap compared to how much Lucenite you're gathering.
Yeah, it feels very much because the game has a tagline of like "come back stronger," and it feels like that was like the mission statement of like every single run you need to be improving, building. It's just like, yeah, but to a certain point, it's like adding +1 command because that run went bad. You don't feel any stronger. You technically are, but like the skill tree is so incremental that like I never actually feel like I'm getting stronger. Like, and maybe that's just the way that I've been playing. I haven't really like you definitely like soar through the skill tree because like you'll go through one run and boom, you're unlocking like 20 to 30 different modules on it. It's just like, whoa, okay. I think it's all incremental still though because you're adding it to this, to that, to this, to that. And like one thing that does like kind of get a bad mark on the game for me is how confusing some of the systems are. Because you mentioned like it is all color coded, but my stupid brain is just like, okay, I need to upgrade my resilience or my command, my power, my prominence, and I'm like, what does any of this mean? Like I'm like, once I finally like turned off my brain, I'm like, oh, green means health, yellow means this, blue means that. It's just like, okay, I get it. But like it,
I mean, like, yes, but also like the main thing that you're worried about upgrading there is your proficiency in those attributes, because your weapons, like a FromSoft game, like with skill and dex or strength and stuff like that, your weapons scale with those individual attributes based off of
right.
the amount of arrows they have next to them in that particular field. And that's what you're really going for. That's where you're getting the most like when you start melting enemies in your runs, that's how you do that. And I think that's where the game like really shines in the combat, is like you build your character up with this skill tree, and then when you're starting off your run, you're just blowing through enemies, and you're acquiring level ups in those attributes. The big ones in the skill tree are like where you can like improve the amount of leucinite that the enemies drop, or you can improve like how long it stays on the ground, or different things like that. Where those
Man. The amount of times I've watched those fucking things shoot up in the air, I'm like, motherfucker.
I was about halfway through the game before I realized that was a thing. I think I was just moving too fast, and then I looked over and I saw the leucinite just float away, and I was like,
Whee!
that sucked. How much did I lose over the course of this game so far? Man, those are probably my only critiques. Is the difficulty and some slight story stuff, but the combat is unbelievably sick. The weapons, Curly, how do you feel about the weapons so far?
I mean, I love the variety for sure, and like there's so many different varieties of sub weapons. So like you have like a pistol that like will shoot an enemy, and then the bullet bounces off and hits another enemy, or bounces off walls and starts ricocheting, and like that's all fun and dandy, except like once you start like getting in a room with like 20 enemies, you just start like firing off, and like you just start like you said, you just start melting enemies, and you're just like more focused on like, I'm always pushing the trigger or holding the trigger, and I'm more focused on dodging the bullets or like dashing through this. I love the system. Like, dude, Housemarque has the little orb system. Like, I want that to be the next like what to Souls like or whatever. Give me like an orb like. Like, I want to see other studios steal the orbs, because like it is so satisfying to like absorb the blue ones, dash through the yellow ones, parry the red ones. Like, it's such a easy thing to understand visually, and it just looks awesome. Like the particles, the game's beautiful. Holy shit, it's beautiful. Like such amazing art. But then going back to the weapons, like there's different pistols. So like you'll have that one, or you'll have a pistol where if you, a lot of the weapons or all the weapons have like a thing, if you like in Returnal halfway hold the trigger down, it's like an alt fire. And like some pistols will like charge up, and you can either release that or like shoot in giant bursts. Like there's so many different like little pieces of or little sub genres within weapons. And I found one the other day. You mentioned it. It's like a crossbow or something like that. It's like one of the main ones you find in the game. Dude, that thing's insane.
It's a cheat code, dude. It's an absolute cheat code. That and the prominence, like the ultimate move that you get. So you get like these power moves, and you unlock different ones as the game progresses. But the first one you get is just called prominence, and you shoot this like ridiculous like black hole that just like sucks in enemy projectiles and then causes continuous damage to anybody you shoot it to. It's so good.
Yeah, and that's another thing, is like balancing that. It took me, I feel so dumb. It took me so long to learn these systems. Once I finally did, I'm just like, dude, this is unbelievably good. And like you mentioned, like you have the what'd you call it, the prominence attacks or whatever?
Prominence.
Like, it starts off where it's just like a big cannon blast or whatever, but then you have some that are like, it'll just shoot out a tiny like a million fucking tiny little blue thing, and they'll just start stabbing enemies, but then it'll start swirling around and shit. Like, dude, it's so much fun to just like play around and experiment and the game constantly, room to room, you'll find something that's like slightly better. It's kind of like your traditional roguelite. It's like, oh, this is a rare one, so probably go with that one. And this one's this many levels up, so go with it. But once you like find a weapon that synergizes with your prominence, you don't even want to like change it. Like I'm not fucking with that. There's also I don't know if you've noticed this, but like some weapons don't have like auto lock. Like some of them
Yeah,
you have to like manually aim, which sucks until you realize like, oh shit, the auto aim is still like not perfect. So like when you're manually aiming, like all those bullets are sinking in and it's like way more efficient. So like I started to
yeah.
kind of fuck around with that and mess with that.
You're also typically you're trading off the ones that have auto aim for ones that have more power. So like the ones that aren't like a smart rifle that like auto aims to the target. Typically you're dealing more damage. You just have to manually aim. Which I'll be honest, I'm more okay with just trading off the for the auto aim. I don't like aiming in shooters. I don't typically play shooters a lot,
Well,
and I've all of our reviews this year have been shooters, and I'm a little sick of it. If I'm being completely honest with you, I'm ready for a hack and slash.
yeah. Not to mention like
But
uh the game is so much more about like traversing like and dodging. Like so
and
like
dodging, yeah,
it's about like crowd control, distancing yourself, and like weaving and bobbing through shit. So like if you're worried about aiming on top of that, it's just like another thing of like, oh man, this is like overwhelming. But like
it,
no, I adore the weapon system in the game, and it's always like choice paralysis too, where I'm just like
mhm.
the few times I've gotten the crossbow, it's like no matter what, I'm picking that weapon just because like it's so satisfying. Because dude, it not only has like a thing where it, like I mentioned, the pistol ricochets off of shit, but like it also has an amazing just charge shot that's just like
Yeah.
so good.
Oh man, and the weapons they couple so well with the just the overall feel and traversal of this game. Same thing with Returnal. This game feels so unbelievably good to just move around, to jump around, to shoot around, and like the feeling that you get playing this game and how clean it feels just existing and playing this game. I don't think I've ever played a game that felt better. That Housemarque has got this on lock where their games just feel good. Like
Yeah,
and then the dual sense that again, like I don't understand why we're not using this unbelievably beautiful controller more, Sony. But Housemarque has got you.
yeah,
Housemarque and Team Asobi have got you covered on the features of the DualSense because the haptics feel great, the movement feels great through the controller. Like if you're playing these games on anything else other than a DualSense, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like it's so awesome.
yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, you have to like pull the trigger halfway down, which sounds tedious, except the trigger feels natural to pull at that halfway point, and you just strain just a tiny bit more to go all the way down, and that's how you activate your prominence, which is like a big special attack anyway. So it's just like, oh man, it does. It just feels incredible. And going back to oh,
No, no, you're good. You're good.
oh
You're good.
wait,
Um,
you never scored the game. What would you give this?
oh, this is a 9-5.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Cool.
This is a 9-5 easy.
Nice.
Um, the story stuff, which I guess we'll touch on like how you feel about the story overall without getting into spoilers. We'll do that in a few minutes, but the story stuff I feel, and then the progression of is this game too easy? Is it actually a roguelike? I feel like were the only detractors I really had for the game. Uh, but I think it's so close to being a 10. I feel a little bad not giving it because it feels like a masterpiece. I'm just
Mm.
I feel like I'm in the same camp as I was with uh with RE9, where I want to just give it a 10, but there's just I know the next one from Housemarque is just going to
Yeah.
be like that's the one, like as long as I feel like Sony needs to probably take a step back, let Housemarque cook. They don't really need your involvement, I don't think. I would say I'm not sure if I like it more than I like Returnal, because Returnal was probably my game of the year that year it came out. But yeah, 9-5 easy.
Nice. Yeah, and that's kind of where I felt too, where I'm like, man, there's so many parts that I do like more than Returnal, but like as an overall thing, maybe again because it was like Housemarque coming out of its shell, basically
Mhm.
seeing what they could do for the first time. It's always like that, like Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2 thing, where it's like those are incredible games, but we kind of seen it. Like I guess maybe that's where it's just like, oh man, there's just some things in Returnal that I enjoy more, but like there's so many quality of life fixes here in Saros. Um,
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, like I know that like this game stands on its own at all without Returnal. I almost feel like it could have been an in-universe thing or a sequel of some kind. Like it seems like it would fit totally in line with that, but it would be completely separated from the main character of Eternal. But like, just kind of odd as like because Sony loves to build their franchises and stuff like that. Like I'm curious. Like, do they just keep doing that moving forward? Do they just make one-off stuff like that, or do you think they'll eventually
Yeah.
franchise? Or
I think that based off of the way that Housemarque has shown that they tell stories and the way that they build like worlds that are a contained world, I don't ever expect it to them to franchise these. Like this is gonna be, if this is anything, it's like an anthology of like of this type of game. It's not even like I
yeah,
don't. The games will never be titled the same. I think boxing in Housemarque in that way would be a mistake because there's clearly like there are people at Housemarque that just understand how to craft interesting worlds, and boxing them into one world or one universe feels like a mistake.
yeah. I mean more or less. This isn't a great comparison, but like look at your Final Fantasy. It's a
Mhm.
franchise, but every single one is its own world. They could do fantasy, they could do more, edgy edgelord shit, like whatever they want to do. I could see them going in that direction. You said like not necessarily like we're gonna see Arjun in the next game or anything like that, but like I don't know, I could see them doing something along those lines. Um, I just because
Yeah,
like
for like more name recognition,
yeah,
probably like
exactly.
or
Like
like yeah.
I want to see this team succeed to the max. Like I mean, clearly they don't need my help with. Like, I think obviously franchises get people. Plus, I would like
Yeah.
to see not necessarily like a Remedy verse, but like they could cross over here and there every now and then. You could see like little Easter eggs of like some sci-fi weird bullshit. They could do whatever they want. They're on alien planets and shit. Which, by the way, you mentioned earlier, and I wanted to touch back on it. How much Returnal felt like Metroid. I think this game feels even more like Metroid. Like maybe not more, just because you're not secluded and alone, but like this game has so many like Metroid feely vibes to.
Yeah, and then they both do. And I honestly, when I played Metroid Prime 4 last year, I was like, this is not Returnal. This is not this is not Housemarque. And I was just I don't know. That's neither here nor there. But I that was one of my things where I thought I'd probably prefer Returnal overall from a story standpoint, and from a narrative and like feel standpoint. It's just because the feeling of isolation in Returnal. I'm gonna say something blasphemous. I think is the best in video games. I don't think any other game has captured that feeling of isolation better than Returnal does, and that like, I mean, that's what I owe like tribute that vibe to Metroid. I mean, that comes from the Metroid franchise, and I think Housemarque outdid them at their own sauce. If I'm being completely honest with you, I think Saros is still really high up there with the feeling of isolation, but there's a lot going on with its characters and its story, and they took a step back from that. And they probably made it, did that to make it a little more mainstream. I think that's the part where I need Sony to say, like, just take a step back and let Housemarque cook. Uh, the difficulty stuff I could take or leave. If that's, I mean, if it makes the games more accessible and it gets people in the game into more people's hands, like I totally get that. Go for it. That's fine. You can play this game how you want. You can make it easy. You can make it difficult. You've got the modifiers and the different things, the corruptions that you can add to your run to make them easier or harder. Uh, I would just say like from a narrative perspective, let Housemarque do their thing. Let them they don't need the interference if there was any, and it feels like kind of like Sony's hand was on the wheel a little bit.
Yeah, you and I talked about it a couple days ago or a week ago or something. How I was like kind of down on the story, like none of it really made any sense to me, and like it does start to like fill in the gaps and like bits and pieces. Like it is just a mystery. You're just kind of thrown in, and like to me, like some stuff just doesn't make sense, like narratively, where I'm just like, man, I feel like I'm not gonna get into spoilers, but like I feel like we should take a step back. Like the main character be like, hey, the stuff going on here, like we need to just take a breath. But like there are like other motivations at play and like stuff starts getting revealed throughout. So like, and of course I haven't completed it. But it took me a long time to get acclimated with the characters and actually care about them. But like I'm at a point now where I'm just like, I'm kind of excited to get back to that guy's. Again, no spoilers, but like the characters that you meet in the first part of the game aren't necessarily all of them. So like, yeah, that, and then just seeing how the other characters interact with what's going on, kind of. They do the Hades thing. I think that's kind of what they were going for there, where it's like, hey, the run's over, spend some time in this hub, talking to the characters, see what's going on, and you get a lot of little narrative bits, but like it's not nearly on the quality of like a Hades as far as that goes. You're not going
No,
through
no,
and
I think the character interactions, and let's frame this. We're gonna move into like story stuff without spoiling it, and I want to frame like what the story is, just from an overview. And this is all in trailers. Like this isn't any kind of spoilers, but from like the jump, you are playing as Arjun Devraj is the main character. That's Rahul Kohli's character in this game. You work for a company called Soltari. Who has been, and Soltari has found the stuff we talked about, leucinite, on this planet Carcosa, which currently, one of the things about this story is Carcosa is, and this is a cool thing to look into. Carcosa is Sid brought this up while I was playing the game. It's based off of a book called the King in Yellow, which is Robert Chambers, which is like a major inspiration for H.P. Lovecraft's like Eldritch horror stuff. And you could probably see that all over this game with like all the tentacles and stuff. But like that put me in like as soon as she told me about that, it put me in like this Bloodborne-y kind of vibe, and I was like, this is Housemarque's Bloodborne. Like that's awesome. That's what this is. There's these parallels to like that I was drawing up to FromSoft the entire time I was playing this game, where it just feels like these are as good to play as the Dark Souls games. But you work for this company called Soltari, and you're going to Carcosa to mine this material, leucinite, essentially. And when you get there, you're looking for the other expeditions that they had sent ahead of you. And the story unfolds like there's this weird thing with the eclipse, right? We touched on that a little bit. Like the enemies get harder, and they like hit you with like these corruption like attacks as you after you've triggered the eclipse or whatever in your runs. I think what you were talking about with the characters overall, if they were going for a Hades thing, they definitely missed the mark there. I don't know if the character interactions, you don't, because like in Hades you're building up relationships with them, right? Like you're giving gifts, you're actually having like meaningful conversations with them. I think it feels like the side characters are just kind of here to serve like add to the mystery of it all, and the uncomfortable feeling that you get in this game, and like the stress and the tension and the anxiety. I think the character interactions are pretty weak. The NPCs as characters are overall kind of like I can take it or leave it. The story is told in a very Housemarque way. It's the same kind of way that I feel like Returnal told its story. There's just way more of it. I think I might have preferred like Returnal's more like laid back approach to its storytelling than Saros is more like direct, like, hey, here's our story, and then they kind of like hit you with the like the ambiguous nature of what's actually happening in this game a little later. I don't know. What are your? You said that it's not really clicking for you, that you're not understanding what's going on, which is fair. It's completely
Dude,
fair.
it's just that it took me a while to get like going with it, because like the opposite of Mouse PI, where it's like at the beginning I was invested, and eventually I was like, I'm just skipping the dialogue and all that. I don't care. Just get to the thing. I started to take a step back more later in the game here, just because like before, I would pick up a, every video game's got it, but like the little letters you find, I started just skipping that in the beginning, because it's a very fast paced game. Like I'm just ready to get in, guns blazing, go crazy and all that. But like now I'm actually going through and reading it because I'm more invested. I feel like the more time you spend with it, the more sense it makes, because like I was asking a lot of questions in the beginning of like the simple thing of like, why does he get revived? He's not questioning that. And then it's just like, well, they sort of play into that in narratively as well. Like there's the way that characters interact in this world, like it's all at least somewhat blanket explained, and a lot of it is just like who's this character? What is he doing? What are their motivations? I don't fucking know. I'm just my guy at this point. Like I'm with Arjun. Like I've got one focus in mind now, which like I still haven't really quite uncovered fully, but I kind of get what he's going for.
Mhm.
And I'm really way more invested than I was in the beginning. That being said, you're not wrong. The NPCs are pretty weak. There's like two characters I really do like, and like I get excited to go back and talk to them. But there's also two characters I really just hate. Not hate, but like every time I see their dialogue box pop up, I'm like, okay, let me go over and
Ah.
talk to them. And it's like, okay. But I I mean I just like the roguelike structure of that. I am like it is kind of Hades coded in that way, where it's like you're back at home base, let's hang out with the folks, then we'll get back going.
Yeah.
And like the game does narratively have like this big sense of urgency, and the game doesn't tie you down to talk to the people either. Like you can just be like, nope, don't have time for y'all, later.
Nah. I feel like it.
So like you can
I,
kind of take the story, leave it. You don't really have to do much of it. Like you do get stopped at an occasion of like a cutscene of like, hey, this guy's doing that weird thing. What's up with that? But other than that, you can go guns blazing and ignore it all if you really want to. Like you mentioned, has a lot of good environmental story too. That's one of the cool things too, is you're going to the planet you're basically the rescue team. Like the other teams had other purposes out there, and shit went wrong, and you're that guy that's like there to extract it, save them. But like you start to again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but like you start to see how those teams interacted with the world and what happened to them, and like some of the environmental storytelling there is really, and it has some surprises too, like some just kind of random things. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Uh, sure. This guy's. Yeah, I don't want to get into spoilers, but yeah, I do think it's
that's
interesting the
fair.
way they folded out.
I think that's one of the parts, like with the NPCs, that like and the storytelling, where Returnal had a different atmosphere to it that I think I just preferred, because and slight spoilers for Returnal, but you talked about like the audio logs that you find when you're going through these biomes, and like the text logs and stuff like that. So in Returnal, you're isolated, you're by yourself, you're finding these audio logs, but like there's nobody else on this planet.
Yeah,
It's just you. And when you find these audio logs, it's Celine speaking, and
yeah,
she like when did I record this? And that's bone chilling. Like when you find an audio like and you're listening to your like distorted like lo-fi voice like talking back to you, like it's like borderline horrifying to
mhm.
listen back to it. And then like when you're finding the audio logs here, it's very interesting from like a narrative perspective, but it doesn't give you that same kind of vibe. I think
True.
I overall enjoyed that, the way they did that in Returnal a little bit more than I liked this in
Yeah,
Saros.
Saros is way more straightforward than Returnal.
Oh yeah.
Like Returnal's almost artsy in its storytelling, where this is just like
Yeah.
a sci-fi story. It really is, but I mean, it's well fleshed out, like the world and whatnot. I still have a lot of questions. I haven't beaten the game yet. Wait to see it out, but yeah, I mean, I'm higher than I was on it, narrative wise. Characters, most of them.
How do you feel about Arjun?
Love them. I mean, like, love is maybe a strong word, but like, I love the performance from Raul is really good, but also, he's my guy, you know, like, because there's certain interactions where at first I was like, kind of like the NPCs of like, hey, what are you doing this for? What are we doing that for? And he's just like, don't worry about it. I got you. I'm your guy. And then you kind of see that he has other motivations. I'm like, oh shit. And then like, I don't know. I'm kind of just with him, and I like the way that the mystery kind of unfolds there. But I mean, he's easily the best character in the game. I do like there's a like a computer companion as well with you.
Oh, primary.
Yeah, that's really cool. Love that. The game does have like a creepy vibe too. There's like a lot of, like you said, like Eldritch style horror and stuff like that, and like
Yeah.
the robot companion or whatever has some creepy moments stuff. Like yeah, overall like the main character at least is really interesting. Performance wise, same thing I said with Mouse At the very least, I respect the performance that the actors did, even though I don't really care about some of the storylines. I can still appreciate a good performance when I hear one.
Yeah. The references that it's pulling from are super interesting. Like you can see the influence from there's huge FromSoft influence in the design and the environmental storytelling that they're doing in this game. There's huge influence from Eldritch horror, and there's really cool influence from like the Alien franchise, because
Yeah.
Soltari is straight up just Weyland Yutani, and that's
Yeah.
that's super cool. Kind of gets me itching to go play Alien Isolation or watch some of the Alien movies, just to get this vibe a little bit more. You wanna dip into we don't have the Swedish boys with us tonight, but we do have Enrico's takes on the game. I believe he finished it for review. So hopefully, I would imagine he's going to abide by the spoilers.
Okay.
Conditions.
We're about to find out. We haven't listened to it, but yeah, we'll do the
Let's queue it
same
up to find
thing.
out.
If we find a talking point, we'll pause them and go. But yeah, our boy over there busy reviewing other games. He's an actual like game reviewer. Had props to.
Oh man,
He's too busy for us little guys.
I mean, more power to him. He's living the dream. That sounds awesome.
Hell yeah. But yeah, thanks Enrico. Let's check out what he had to say.
Hey Curly, hey Ryan. Quick video to talk about Saros. I was about to say Returnal. So it is it is kind of iconic and comic and ironic that I was about to say Returnal instead of Saros, because I think even though they have different names, even though they are not, direct, Saros is not a direct sequel of Returnal. It feels like with Saros, Housemarque is trying to right some of the wrongs of that game, of the perceived wrongs of that game. Because I've enjoyed Returnal since its day one. I had no issues with the long runs. I had no issues with how unfair it felt in some instances and in some boss sections. I appreciated it a lot. Maybe the only thing I didn't really enjoy was the RNG of some things. If you wanna get the platinum trophy for it, which I still have to get, by the way. So,
Fucking got him. Didn't you get the plat? Oh wait, you're muted.
I sure did. That 90 hours for that Returnal Platinum.
That's
Saros looks.
Probably get.
Yeah, I'll probably go for the plat at some point this year.
for Saros.
Yeah.
She couldn't be me.
Back and get it. So this is what I mean by perceived wrongs, because I don't really think there was anything to fix with that game in the widest sense of the word fix. So, sorry if I'm blinking a lot, but I think one of my contact lenses is behaving strangely. Here's how Dead Space 4 starts, actually. So how did I approach Saros when it came? I did not have a strong hype for it, but I was also kind of sure that Housemarque would deliver high stakes, high frequency kind of game. After getting the Platinum Trophy for it a couple of weeks back, I gotta say I enjoyed a lot of things that Saros does good, and I have a couple of critiques. Let's start from the things I think it does good. Shooting mechanics, the sense of powerfulness that Saros gives is incredibly efficient. It hits the ground running in a way, like from the first biome, you're already kind of feeling powerful in a way. And I appreciated that a lot. In the same way as Returnal had some of its more troublesome layers on the randomness of stuff, I feel Saros still suffers from some of those shortcomings in a way. There have been 5-6 runs, let's say, of my 35 runs, 36, the not complete runs, of course, but I mean 36, let's say, matches. There have been 4 or 5, maybe 6 that were particularly wasted by a very crazy weapon drop that was always giving me one of those 2 weapons that nobody wants to use. But beside that,
I'll pause it there just to discuss a little bit. So, first off, did he say he had the platinum for Saros?
Yeah, he's got the Saros plat.
Damn. Dude's playing games.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Like that dude's gaming?
Yeah. He mentions like the randomness that Returnal has. And then Saros still has that. And he mentions like the RNG of it. I will say like one of the runs that just destroyed me was insane. Like I did get like the worst RNG possible, where like I encountered, and I've also encountered a couple bugs, but like there's an item in the game, not an item, but like a structure in the game that basically connects 2 enemies and just heals them. And normally you just go up and punch those, or you break them, and that's that. But I had a room with just some crazy enemies that were, healed by this thing, and I punched it, and they just still they just stayed green, and like there was no other structure to do it. And I didn't know if that was just like an enemy type that just kept healing, but like ended up losing a run to that. But then there was like another run where I had some pretty poor RNG, and it was just bad luck, where it was like I encountered a major boss from a previous area. That can happen, by the way. Just popped up out of nowhere. I'm like, oh shit, that was super exciting. And like I made it through it because I killed him once before, but now you're having to deal with hordes while fighting him. And the very next room, I shit you not, was a brand new boss I'd never fought. And I'm like, what is going on here? This is insane. So I get through that, and this isn't even the main boss of like that arena. So like by the time I get to the main boss, Like all my resources and health have been spent. But then the very next run, none of that happened. I was just like, I went straight to the boss and killed him. I'm like, well, what the hell was that? like there were some runs that are just like RNG heavy and it'll kick your ass. But like it does help keep the game exciting. But if you're grinding out like a platinum trophy, it could definitely be annoying. Do you have anything to say to that, or have you run into any weird bugs? Because I ran into quite a few.
It like clipped through the ground at some points and fell. There's a lot of easy places to fall off the map in this game, and that's probably the only bugs that I've run into so far. I will say I haven't quite had the issues with the RNG. He said he landed at somewhere around 35 runs. I'm not sure how many runs I've done total. It's probably in the logs of the game somewhere, but I don't know if I'm anywhere close to 35. I feel like there's so many like things afforded to you for ways to like change your run or update your run, that if you're not like dying from it, like you can rebound pretty quickly. Like the Acolyte's wager or whatever that allows you to re-roll your items that you're seeing, or like remove artifacts that might be causing corruption and stuff like that. Those you can like completely rewrite your entire run that way sometimes. The bad drops with weapons, I usually just try to figure out and find the play style that they want for that particular weapon. Like early on, I was kind of avoiding the shotgun anytime I would get the shotgun, just because I'm usually a shotgun guy, but the shotgun in this, it's a different play style. And I learned this in Returnal, but I think I forgot it early on and had to relearn it. But like the way they want you to play the shotgun is they want you to prioritize your melee and then kick that shotgun after they're stunned, and it works. It works really well if you're down to like get up and personal with these enemies, but that's not usually my cup of tea.
Yeah, no, I was in the same boat. Like when I first tried the shotguns, like because I love shotgun games, I immediately just started getting health wiped out because like the enemy will just like projectile and kick your ass. But like once you adjust to that playstyle, you learn the distance you can keep and whatnot. And like, dude, I was mowing down with the shotgun on one run. It was insane. And like I mentioned earlier, there's like subgenres within weapons too. So like you'll have a shotgun that like doesn't like horizontally scatter, but the alt fire will vertically scatter. And so like if you focus on an enemy like that, like you can also use that as like a spread shot. It's so fucking clever. And then like there's one shotgun that has like a fucking grenade launcher attached to it, like as the alt fire. So it's not just close range. Like, dude, I love the weapon variety. I know we talked about it, but like the shotguns in particular, I actually quite enjoy like learning how to play the game up close with the enemies, because it is a completely different game at that. Because crossbow, you want to get as much distance as possible and let it do its work, and like that it's a strategy of its own, and like you're just more like dodging projectiles from afar. But the shotgun, like you are, like you said, you're focused on stunning the enemy and melee. It's very Doom-like. But I love that the game does allow that creativity and like player expression. I never really felt what he said, like where it's like, the weapons nobody wants. Like every single time I got a weapon, I was like, all right, cool, this is how we're playing. I will say there are so many weapon drops that like that does get confusing on like, well, now shit, I don't know which one to go for, and I'm like, I'm constantly changing. But it is still good that there are those. I do wish that like it did have like a Hades like style where you can just upgrade the weapon you have, instead of like your next drop will be a different weapon. I wish that there was a drop that's like, hey, let's just level up the weapon you currently have. That would be cool.
Yeah. And Hades starts you off with like you pick one weapon at the beginning of the run and you stick with that. That'd be an interesting way to do it, because quite frankly, from a narrative perspective, enemies dropping like random like high tech weapons is kind of you know, it's an interesting idea. Like if he was grabbing a weapon off of the ship and be like, "This is what I'm going to use this time," like that's I guess. It's a different game entirely at that point. So that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
I felt like there was enough ways to adjust regardless of what weapon drops I was getting. The only thing that I ever really got like miffed about, like, as far as the drops was the power ups. Is like, I just want prominence. I don't want the Despiritor. I don't want the other like big power moves that you get. Just give me prominence and get out of my way. It felt like the game knew that I wanted that one, and it just refused to give it to me half the time.
Nice. That was another thing. I wonder how much the game plays to how you're playing. Because sometimes it did feel like when I was just having too good of a run, that's whenever it would be like, all right, let's throw a mini boss in here. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how often that actually happened, but it did feel like sometimes it was like the game knew. Let's catch back up with it. Go see what else. He's got about 9 minutes. He's got a good bit.
The moment-to-moment gameplay is incredible. The feel of the different weapons is incredible. The visual messiness of the different colored spheres kind of disappears really quickly. And that's a testament to how well Housemarque has translated the 2D bullet hell kind of feel to a 3D environment. But they were already great in Returnal. This, with the always running character, with the dash, with the shield that also absorbs stuff, creates more dynamicity without putting too much weight on the player's ability to immediately understand stuff, in a way, which is a great victory for Saros. Another thing that I think they do well is the way they structured the game. So once again, this is not a comparison with Returnal. I liked the way Returnal was structured so that I had to go through biome 1 to get to biome 2 and yada, yada, yada. But here in Saros, I appreciated that it's more kind of level-based in a way. You can still, and you should still probably run through everything from the first biome, but it feels like a more structured world, and in it being so structured, it also feels maybe a little bit too much level based in a way. It doesn't feel like a complete world. It feels like you're exploring levels of that world. Meanwhile, Returnal did in some way give me a sense of I'm slowly exploring a whole world. It's kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing. It depends. Like if you put it in a comparison with Returnal, I think Returnal has a better structure. Like it makes me feel again like I'm actually in a world that really doesn't want me. Here it feels like, oh, okay, the next biome, it's like the next level, more or less. I'm not going to go long with this, but I wanted to touch upon what I feel are the shortcomings as well. So to end the pros, the things I liked about Saros, I have to say great interpretation and voiceover work from Rahul Kali, which I already follow for other stuff, and he managed to get as much as possible out of the protagonist. And this brings me to the shortcomings. The narrative of Saros is as messy and pretentiously superficial as it could have been. I think that Returnal was much, much better in the way that narrative, gameplay, the evolution of the world communicated with one another and reinforced one another. Narrative-wise, Saros always felt like, at the same time, incredibly phoned in and incredibly pretentious in wanting to like boast in a way. Like it felt like a narrative sometimes wanted to say, look how deep we are and how special our story is. I haven't read the King in Yellow yet, which is the short story the much of the narrative is taken from. But I felt multiple times I felt at clash, at war with the narrative and with all of the characters. Because, for example, Celine in Returnal felt initially like someone I could engage with emotionally. Like she felt as trapped as trapped in that world as we were as players. The protagonist of Saros, always feels like he's hiding something from you, but not really hiding it from himself. And that made me... It's very strange to explain, but it made me both uninterested and angry at the narrative at multiple points throughout. Especially because in the first act, I was creating theories in my head of like where the narrative could potentially go and could potentially end up. But everything that the game has to say narrative-wise, I think it's said in the first act. All the other characters are just basically either unbearable or thin as a as a cracker in the way they're described.
Enrico always with the strong language, the words.
Man, he's that's a harsh critic right there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with anything he's saying. I wouldn't go as harsh as like the superficial and whatnot, but like I don't. It is at times does is our sometimes contentious.
What did you just? It is at times does is our.
It sometimes does come across as a little pretentious, but like I kind of like that in storytelling. If I'm being honest, I like when games, or not games, but I like when stories can kind of get up their own ass sometimes. That doesn't necessarily bother me. What he said about the main character is interesting because he kind of had the same vibes as me. It's like, man, like it seems like he's not telling the people around him, therefore not telling the player kind of what's going on. But like you start to uncover that throughout, and it's not like it's hidden like necessarily because it's pretty obvious what's going on. It's just like it's an interesting way to tell the story. It did annoy me at first, but like I said, as we kind of move further in the game, I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think so. He touched on a lot there, obviously, and we'll go back and forth. But I think the biggest thing is the use of the word pretentious. Like, and I think that's all based on perspective. Do I think that the characters execute the story in a perfect way? Absolutely not. But there's a difference. You can have the perspective that what they're doing is pretentious, or like my perspective was Housemarque has something that they're trying to say, something that they want to say very deeply with the themes and overview of this game. In Returnal, speaking of which, both of these games have that same thematic tissue of like being about entrapment, the way he talked about. Both physically, these characters are trapped on these worlds, Celine and Arjun, and then also like the themes of just being entrapped by like everyday life. So like in Returnal, the theme was being entrapped by past trauma, whereas in this one, the idea is being entrapped by obsession. And you see that in the themes throughout the game. You saw it all throughout Returnal. And I love the way they speak on that, the way the story and the environmental story and the telling all adds into that in Celine's story and as well as Arjun's story and the rest of the Soltari cast or the Echelon crew members. It's using Soltaria as a vehicle for like the entrapment or the allure of corporate capitalism or obsession with the Lucenite or whatever on I'm losing the name of the planet. Kosar?
Carcosa.
Carcosa, yeah. Excuse me. I think it's really cool, and it delves a lot further in that. Pretentious is just a word that I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't necessarily use. I feel like Housemarque is very direct in what they're trying to say. Not direct, very intentional in what they're trying to say with their games, and there's a lot of passion in the feelings that they're evoking throughout the narratives.
Yeah, he did agree that the side characters are just there.
Oh, absolutely. Again, the side characters are far more serviceable than like a game that we reviewed just like a month ago, Pragmata, where they're basically just there to set up a tragic backstory for Hugh. These characters do feel real. They do feel like grounded to the story, and they do like help like usher the story along in a decent way. I think the execution is poor, and more than anything, like I feel like the interaction between the characters is what suffers. I don't know if the characters themselves are necessarily like poorly written or anything, but some of the interactions and the dialogue that you have between Arjun and the cast members feel a little like this isn't conversation. Like these conversations weren't recorded in the same booth. They're not really playing off of each other's emotions or vibes.
That's
and I think it falls flat a little there.
That's one thing I picked up in like, and this is such a stupid video game thing to nitpick at, but like, one of the characters is doing something. Well, I guess you, Arjun, and one other character are doing something. Every time I've gone back to this place, everyone else is just sitting or standing, just waiting. They're not doing anything. like I'm like, what are y'all here? Yeah. What are y'all doing? Like, we're supposed to be the team that saves these folks, and y'all are just like, well, some bad stuff happened. I guess I'm just gonna wait around. It's like, well, I don't know. It's kind of odd. It's just kind of one of those weird video gamey things where they're just there to talk to the character, and it's like, anyway, let's pick back up. I completely miscalculated. He still has 6 minutes and 50 seconds
to screen and such. I can't remember a single character's name except the pilot, which I kind of appreciated, especially in the way that we saw in him how the madness of the world was kind of unraveling, instead of having it on the protagonist or on the guy at the top floor, which again I can't remember the name of. So narrative-wise, I vastly prefer Returnal. Not only that, but I think it's not a sufficient narrative. The second thing is the biomes. I know that there are a couple, and I can admit there are a couple of biomes that visual-wise, like art-wise, are very interesting, especially the upside-down castle that you go to at one point. The one in which you constantly switch from like regular gravity and sort of upside down gravity in a way. But beside that, again, they feel very disconnected to one another, and very barren in a way that the Returnals ones never ever felt, in any way, shape, or form. And this also speaks for me to what I was talking about before, which is they really feel like levels. And I don't know if that worked for me 100%. It worked in a matter of progression. It worked in a matter of, I feel like I'm growing in terms of power, with all the, whatever currency that you get, and then you get back and you power up the stuff. I appreciated the progression. I didn't appreciate the way in which the levels had to somewhat reflect that progression. I don't know if that makes sense. one thing that is not really a shortcoming or a pro is the couple of peaks in difficulty that the game has. I know Curly has just stepped in one, which is basically the third, fourth biome in a way. And then the last part is especially hard. I'm not complaining about how difficult it is. I'm complaining about the flow of it more. I like the way that the last part sort of takes away one of the things you used to count on before that part. But it really felt like a peak in difficulty that was not earned by the game. I've got one last point, which is sort of again kind of in the middle between a shortcoming and a pro, which is the modifiers. I had to use the modifiers in the last world to get rid of the last boss for the second time, and it really felt like some of the advantages that you get are not well balanced against the disadvantages that you get. Maybe it was thought out that way, but again, just one point that will probably make you discuss a little bit more and bring the discussion forward. So all in all, Saros is a game I really liked. I really appreciate it. More in the flow of it, more in the moment of it, that in the afterthought of it in a way. Just like a couple of things in Resident Evil Requiem kind of hit more while I was playing, and then became a little bit more fragile, a little bit more a source of discussion, of an internal discussion, let's say, after a little bit of time passed. So all in all, great game. I would put it side by side with Returnal because it has higher highs and lower lows in a way. It feels more of a streamlined product, which is probably a little bit out of bounds for Housemarque as a software house. But yeah, I mean, for me, if I had to give it a vote, I have to give it a score. I think I would put it around 8.5, maybe, almost a 9 in a way. I really liked it. I wish they were less pretentious with the narrative, maybe a little bit more streamlined or more potentially out of focus. Like they're kind of in a midway narrative-wise, and that was what I struggled with most in playing it. But yeah, that's it. This video was shorter than the one for a Mouse PI. I like this game more than Mouse PI. I mean, it doesn't take much. But yeah, another great first-party PlayStation game. And I happily spent 20 hours, 18 hours, I think, to get the Platinum Trophy on it. I think a lot of people will be able to enjoy it for the things that it does, not only better, but in an easier way that Returnal did. But yeah, I mean, it's a good game. It's a good game. Not as good as other games I played this year, but clearly not as bad as other games that I played this year. So yeah, have a nice rest of the podcast, guys, and I'll see you soon. Maybe for 007, maybe for Mina the Hollower. We'll see when we get to it. Bye, beautiful people.
Thanks, Enrico.
I love that game.
Yeah. Wait till he hears that Dennis hates you. We're not gonna do any more of them ever again.
Never again. This is the last one we're ever gonna do. Oh man. So again, he covered quite a bit there. One of the things that he said that kind of stood out to me was he kind of critiqued the level design and the structure from like an art, both from like a level design and like an artistic standpoint, which I kind of felt weird to me. From an art design standpoint, I think this game like is going to be on the podium for Keeley's game of the year awards next at the end of the year. I don't know about Cody, but for art direction, 1000%. I think the levels in these are immaculate. I think that the start of the game for sure, and then the end of the game, art direction wise, are like some of the best looking vistas and levels I've ever seen. In the middle, the area of the year actually in Curly, I feel like there's a bit of a drop off. Mostly just because of the nature of what that level is, and you know, we don't have to spoil anything of what it is, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and you know what? Like I got there and I was like, "Ah," and then I was like, "Oh, okay," and then I got to a certain point there, I was like, "Ah," like, it's. I mean, if y'all get there, you would definitely know, what I mean by that. But yeah, I don't know if he critiqued necessarily the art direction. I do get where he's coming from on the level design, where it definitely like because if you think about like going from the first biome to the second, it is drastically different on like setting, tone, and it's not quite clear like how it kind of got to that point. And then the same thing for the upcoming biomes. It does feel very much like there's even at certain points there's like literally you just teleport. Like you just teleport to the thing. And it's like I guess I could see where he's coming from on like doesn't really feel like a lived in world necessarily. It's not like the biomes are next to each other for a purpose, if that makes sense. And I don't 100% agree with that, but like I get where he's coming from.
The levels from a design perspective, you're right. It does not feel like a lived-in world, but neither did Returnal. He kind of said a point to the contrary. I felt like they're procedurally generated environments, so like you have to take like it services the gameplay. Yeah, the worlds don't feel lived in from a level design perspective. I don't think they ever will with a game of this type or like he talked about like the way they have to set up the environments to service the way the game progresses. I think he's talking about the more Metroidvania style aspects of the levels where like you can't get to certain items or certain areas of your run until you have things that you acquire later in the game, which I thought was cool. It definitely like it offered incentive to go back and do runs from that first biome onward every time you unlocked a new permanent ability or tool or something like that. Yeah, I think that's just you take the nature of the levels and the world that you're exploring with the gameplay. The procedural generation of the levels like kind of forces their hand on that. There are still like huge like set pieces from a design standpoint that make you like again the huge vistas, the major like buildings that you encounter that are the same run to run, like that opening shot as you're leaving the passage in Shattered Rise is consistent where you're seeing the city from a distance, and like
right
that kind of stuff does I think help like the world feel a little more lived in.
Yeah.
Also thematically from a storytelling standpoint, there are reasons why this world technically doesn't feel lived in. And same thing with Returnal.
Right. Yeah. One point he brought up early on was he touched on the difficulty and like how he didn't mind like the longer runs. The one thing that I think to his point there on Returnal, it was so much more egregious where like I don't mind long runs either if I can pause like and come back later and save the game, but like asking a player to like go through a 3-hour stretch is a huge ask. Like that's kind of crazy. Like I can't even imagine how I would beat that game, which is probably why I eventually put it down. Granted, they did patch that in later, I believe, for Returnal.
Yeah. Which,
And
to be fair, you could also like pause the game and put it in rest mode and still pick it back up. You just couldn't turn your console off or close the game, which
yeah,
is a problem for sure. But I think that got a little overblown.
it's like when you share a console with people, that's not really a good acceptable reason.
Sure.
It's like because well, hey, nobody played the game for about a month until I beat this game. Sorry, I appreciate that it's more accessible in those ways. I don't really mind any of the other stuff that, like, I guess to me the game hasn't really felt too easy. Maybe I'm just bad at it. Maybe I'm just bad at the game. But I don't know. All the accessibilities and quality of life fixes I think were pretty positive, at least from my perspective on Returnal. Yeah, like I said earlier, though, there are bits and pieces that I like more of Returnal. Any last words? Why did I say it that way? Any last
Wow.
words?
Well, I guess I'm about to go die, everybody. It's been real.
I meant to say any like closing thoughts.
I mean, I don't know. I think we talked. I kind of touched on it at the beginning of the game, and I'm curious what you think where Housemarque fits from a grander scheme. But like, PlayStation first party studios have a pedigree. I think Housemarque fits that pedigree to a T. But I'm curious, where do you think they fall in? Like, are they? If you had to order the PlayStation Studios, where's Housemarque fall?
Man, if I'm being real, I would put this right up there with like an Insomniac. I would maybe be looking forward to their new project more than I would Insomniac's, like especially if it's like Ratchet and Clank or something.
Screw you. That's a bad thing.
But like, I mean, they're up there. They're not quite to the levels of like a Naughty Dog or Sony Santa Monica, but like, I mean, they're an amazing studio, and I can't wait to see the next thing, even though I'm not done with this thing. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely echo that. I think putting them right there. So the top for me, definitely Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica, the way you said. Right underneath that is Sucker Punch, Insomniac, and I think Housemarque fits right there in that second tier. And that only thing holding them back from that top tier to me, like the gameplay for them is better than Sucker Punch and better than Insomniac. Is just the narrative aspect of it. If they lock in on the narrative, I mean, they've pretty much owned this console generation for Sony. It's the only
that's good.
Like
point.
other than them and Insomniac, like are the only studios that have put out multiple titles on this console generation for Sony. If I
right,
remember,
and I mean, I hope that they kind of stay where they are. Like, I wouldn't really want them to scale up and do anything crazy like a Naughty Dog, or like, I don't really need them to be that. What Saros does narratively justifies the play experience for me. Like, it's a satisfying place to play in, and the main character's got a cool mystery, and I think it's completely serviceable. And like, I honestly think these games are more about the gameplay anyway, and I would rather them put out more titles like this than get bogged down on doing something more ambitious. Like, obviously, iterate,
I think,
but
yeah. I think honestly, I think it would be really cool. Don't get me wrong, I love roguelikes and I love their take on roguelikes, but you've been touching on throughout this review, this game is very Doom-like, and it has a lot of from soft kind of qualities to it, Dark Souls-y kind of qualities to it. Seeing them branch away from the roguelike genre maybe a little bit and just go like, hey, here's our take on a Doom game. Here's our take on a FromSoft kind of like open world game, rather than going biome by biome or level by level. It'd be really cool to see them if they're going the more like if they are scaling up. But I mean, sitting right where they're at, getting one of these every 3 or 4 years, I'm so okay with that. Them fitting that role into that niche role for Sony is perfect.
Agreed.
I'm so happy to see Sony actually use one of the studios they bought, well, instead of, just buying it for absolutely nothing.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Housemarque is up there now. Like, I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon, but I would have said the same thing about others. You know? Like,
Yeah.
I imagine this is performing well, like, critically and commercially, but I haven't really seen too many reviews personally. No.
Yeah, there was some news regarding Saros. I think it's underperforming sales wise,
Damn.
which is surprising. But I mean, critically, it's high 80s. I think it landed at a 90 when it first dropped on OpenCritic, but I think it's settled back down into like the high 80s.
Was that on my
Uh,
Fantasy Critic? Or
yeah, I think you have it.
okay, sweet.
According to analytics, it estimates that it sold about 300,000 units in its first 2 weeks, which for a Sony first party,
Yeah,
that's a little on the low side, I guess I would say, but
it seems like a game that has legs throughout the year too. Like
yeah, for
I
sure.
could easily see it building up more hype and stuff. I mean, I wholly and wholeheartedly recommend anyone play this, even if you're not into roguelites. Like, again, this game, it kind of teeters on if it is that sometimes or not. It clearly is, but like a lot of it really would be maybe like somebody like a gamer's first perhaps to get into that style of gamer vibe. And then anybody into shooters just in general, if you like good gunplay, like you're not gonna get into this. It's
Absolutely
top of their class with that. I mean, like honestly, you're gonna play this game and play another shooter, and you're gonna be like, man, the guns don't feel the same. Again, like you said, the game's married to the DualSense and the way the vibrations, the triggers, and all that. Like, it's a compelling experience gameplay wise. Yeah, play it.
Yep. Definitely stamp of approval for sure. I think it's my front runner for game of the year so far. I'll make that decision with the RE9 a little later, but we'll see. It's we're halfway through the year. The GOTY conversation is going to start ramping up here real soon. Another thing about the sales figures is this game kind of dropped in the middle of just an unbelievably ridiculous slate of games. It's just an absolutely brutal onslaught of game after game after game. So we'll see how it shakes out towards the end of the year.
I don't know how a game could take Game of the Year from Resident Evil for me for now. Like, I don't know. I can't, like, dude, Resident Evil 9 still up there for me as like, man, that was like absolutely a generational like PS5 experience.
Yeah,
not that it's just PlayStation, but I just mean like this generational consoles that one stands out on top. Like,
one of the things that we didn't really touch on was the boss fights in this game, and I'm very interested to see where you go with this because you're saying you can't see anything touching RE9. The back half of this game that you have left is where the boss fights are like some of the best boss fights in video game history. And I'm very excited to see how your perception of the game either changes or doesn't or how you feel about them in general, because like the bosses in Returnal are amazing. This is a step up 100% when you get to these back half of these bosses.
Sweet. Excited. I'm definitely gonna see this one through. I'm still gonna be playing it, which is probably gonna hinder me from playing the other games coming out literally today. Like, I want to play 007, but like that's gonna have to wait.
Yeah, Mina's in tomorrow, right? I think Mina drops tomorrow night, tomorrow at like 11 o'clock or whatever. So I'm still deciding. I don't know if I want 007 or if I want Mina, but
we got Donkey Kong 64 coming out in like a week. Come on, baby, let's go.
We sure do.
Dude, I'm legitimately stoked. Like, when I saw that Twitter post from or Blue Sky post from Mario 64, I threw my phone on the ground and let out a yippee. Yippee! Oh, it's so hype. It's been so
man. I can't wait to turn that into content.
Game of the year.
Game of the year. But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and conclude on that one. I don't know when we'll be back for another review. I'm sure at some point we'll let y'all know. I'd definitely like to do Mina if we can get other people playing it. I don't know about 007. We'll see if Dennis has any interest in that. But we'll go ahead and close this one out. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us tonight. Be sure to I'm gonna chill out a little bit here. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, help the algorithms on all of our all our platforms, on YouTube's, the Twitches, the Spotify's. Leave us a little comment. Tell us you love us. We love you. We appreciate you and everything you do. I don't know what Curly. I hate that. We're gonna awkwardly go by so Curly stops doing weird stuff with his hands. Y'all have a great rest of your week, and we'll see y'all next time. Love you. He found a way to do